Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So we are going to put some pistons and rods in this afternoon in our 1988 Peterbilt 379 project with the 3406 cat engine in it. So we've got a 3406B. I'm sure they'll know it's a B. Looks like a B. Well, I guess it could be an A. Well, no, an A would be white. Anyways, unless they paint it yellow. Anyways, we've got all of our liners in. They're all sealed up. And for the record, I did pull all the cooling nozzles out of this engine, made sure that they were clean, straight. George and I got them put back in. So somebody's going to ask if we made sure they were clean, and they are. And that is a very crucial part of this engine, that oil gets squirted up in the bottoms of the pistons to keep them cool and lubricated. So now that we've got our liners in, we're going to start dropping pistons and rods in, new rod bearings. So let's get started and get it put together. Previous video was putting the liners in. So I'm trying to break this up into smaller videos so I don't have so much in one video, and it's try to make it so we're a topic each video. So let's get started. Okay, so I went ahead and I got started here. I put number 1 in and I put number 6 in, just because number 6 is kind of a little hard to get to. It's hard to see back there and hard to position the camera. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do number 2 and we're going to do number 5. So George, you want to roll that crank down a little bit? I want the journals straight down. So I'll let him turn it a little more. About right. Oh, go back the other way. Right, a little more. Right there. That's the way I want it. So straight down, drop a rod in, put my cap on, put my nuts on. So let's go get our pistons assembled. We got to put our rings on them. We've already got them on the wrist pins. We did that in the last video.
This is what you did.
Yeah, this is the one I did in the video. Isn't that something that just lined up perfectly? You can drop it down a little more. That'll work. So we left the plastic bags on them just to protect them. So this is an IPD engine kit. Everything is nicely packed in here. They got great instructions on things, like these packs with these rings on them. I had to stop and take a phone call. But anyways, so wherever that was, these kits are real nice because they lay everything out for you. Show you where the rings go. So I'm going to start with number 3 ring, which goes down here in this groove. So this is the oil ring, right? Yeah. I'm going to move this around until we find where it'll spread, right there. Pull that apart. Bring that down to there. I'm going to work this ring back around. There we go. And it is extremely crucial to make sure these ring gaps do not line up with each other. They need to be off from each other so that you're not just letting compression right past them. So these are marked up. Goes in our next groove. Then number 1 goes in our top groove. It is also marked up. There we go. So we're going to turn all these away from each other so none of them grooves line up. There we go. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to get engine oil all over these rings, and then we'll put it in our ring compressor, and we'll take it over and we'll drop it in. Go ahead and get some oil all over this. So you got to remember, when this is squeezed tight in the engine, there's not going to be much gap at all in those rings. It's just that we want to make sure we start with them all off from each other to begin with. I'm going to take our ring compressor. Put it on like so. Just like that. Put our pin in. Now we're ready to go. Insert it in our engine block. Before we insert it in the engine block, I'm going to go ahead and put our bearings in. Like that. Take our cap. The bearing worked in there. Now, we'll take it over and put it in the block. So I took a red mechanics rag and I wrapped it around the crank journal just in case this was to slip out and go flying down in there. It's not going to nick the journal on the crank. George, you want to tap it and I'll go underneath and slow it down so it's not injuring anything. Alright, go ahead. Here it goes. Go ahead. Here we go. Alright, it's in there. So now everything will do from the bottom. So I should also add that it's crucial to keep all the numbers one way. So the part number on the piston, on all the pistons, are going to be on the camshaft side of this motor. That's the way it came apart, that's the way it's going back together. Get my rod bolt in. There we go. Another rod bolt. There we go.
And 5 will be next, right?
Huh?
Number 5 will be next.
Yep. Yes, number 5. And we got our number for our cap heading that direction. Slide it up on there like so. And put our nuts on. That one. Now, I'm going to torque these to 65 foot-pounds. And then we'll have to do our torque turn on them. So what we've been doing is we've been doing two at a time. I'll get them torqued with the torque wrench, and then we'll go back through and George and I will do the final torque at the end and do all four that we need to do all at once. Go ahead and do number 5. They are covered in some oil, just to keep them from rusting. Just clean it off, get rid of it, wipes right off. Start with this ring again. Turn it to where we can spread it. Where is it? Oh, it's coming. Right there. Make sure everything moves freely. Work this back around. There we go. Ring number 2. Ring number 1, just like so. Turn them away from each other. Oh, we left a ring compressor over there, didn't we? Basically, this ring compressor is just basically a funnel. It is tapered, so it squeezes them rings in, and then once they get in the cylinder, they come back out. It's crazy to believe that there's a place in California that advertised that they could do 1-day in frames on trucks back in the day. Seems like a lot of stuff to do in 1 day. I mean, I suppose if I did it on a daily basis, every day of the week, I would probably learn a lot of tricks to be able to do it that fast. All right. We're going to dip our rod bolts, get oil on the threads. All right, take it over and put it in. So this is the part where I was talking about the part numbers on the piston being towards the cam side. So this is the cam side of the engine. George is going to get it started. Oh, there it goes. I'll go underneath. All right, whenever you're ready. Keep going like that. Okay, all right. There we go. On the crank. Well, I got that cap on. We're gonna go ahead and torque them real quick. Now that we got 2 in, we'll go ahead and we'll do our torque turn on them. So we gotta turn them 120 degrees, right, George?
That's what it says.
Yep. So I'm gonna clean these up real quick so I can mark on them with a Sharpie, because with the oil on them, it's hard to mark on them. And then we'll turn them, we'll mark them, and we'll turn them 2 flats. And that'll give us our torque turn on them. So what that means is it's tight right now to the manufacturer's spec. And now when we torque turn it, we're actually going to stretch that bolt even tighter, so it's more, basically it's kind of like a rubber band effect. It's an elastic effect of that fastener to hold it tight. So now it's just considered tight, but that's going to put some preload on it and stretch it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a line on the rod right here. This is our start line. We need to turn this nut this way. So we've got this flat, we have this flat here and a flat here. So we need 2 flats. So we'll mark this one here. This will be our starting flat. So by the time we're done turning, this line here will line up with this line here. So I'm going to take my socket and figure out where it sits exactly. Cat's howling outside or something. So we need to make a line on our socket right here so we can visually see what's going on, because the socket's going to cover it. All right, I'll get George set up to turn these. Well, we're getting set up here for George to tighten these up. I gotta get the ratchet where he can get to it from up top. So I did mark a black line on my socket. So go ahead and George and start turning. See if I can see that black line. It's coming around. Keep going. Hair more and we'll have it. Good, right there. So now we'll move to the other one. Okay. Keep going. Keep going. We're going to go a hair more. Right there. We'll call it good. All right. Let's move to our other one. And then we only got 2 more to put in. There you go. A little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. Good. Okay. Just about there. Right there. Good. There we go. 2 more to go. All right, George. You ready?
Sure.
Feed me that rod. It's coming. Oh, I caught it. You gotta be careful. You don't want to get your fingers pinched. There we go. Go ahead and put my bearing halves on. Oh, rod bolts. Sorry. That's what I was forgetting. Rod bolts. Turn that one a little bit. There we go. They fit in a nice machined spot in the rod. Kind of hard having the camera right here. Now, some guys will put the bolts in and let them come with the rods, but that's just one more thing to worry about nicking a crank. I'd rather just deal with the rod coming down. And make sure the nut's the right way. These nuts do have a flat side to them and a tapered side to them, or a cone side. Can't wait to hear this run. I was actually in Colorado when Dad brought it home, so I've never actually drove it. I did hear it run, but I never drove it. Runs good. In fact, we're probably going to have to detune it a little bit because we took the injectors down to a friend of ours and he pop tested them and said that they're pretty aggressive injectors. And he said the fuel's probably going to need to be turned down in it because heat is what caused the issues with the cracked liner and all that. So, all right, one more rod and piston to assemble and get stuck in here, and then we'll do our final torque, and the lower end will be reassembled as far as rods and mains. We still have oil pump to go back in. The plate that bolts back on here goes back under here. So there's quite a bit to go back under here yet. Well, now that we have all of our pistons and rods back in, we're going to go ahead and put our first gasket on. Got it on. We've got our sealing O-rings around our oil passage dowels, and we're going to put the top spacer on now, and then we're going to cover everything up, because before we put the head on, we're going to go ahead and we're going to reseal the front cover. We'll cover it up so it keeps everything out, but we wanted to get this gasket in so it was protected. There we go. Now we'll cover that real nice. And then we'll put the rest of our O-rings on. Looks nice. See all of our pistons in there. We turned it up top dead center. Well, by eye, we'll have to look and see the marks when we take the front cover off. Huh? No, you don't have to spin it, it's fine. Turned out real nice. Go underneath real quick. There we have it. Everything's torqued. Can't wait to get it running again. So anyways, thank you for watching. Greatly appreciate it. We'll see you all in the next one. If you enjoyed this, give me a like and a subscribe. I'd really appreciate that also. Thank you.